Hello, welcome back to a brand new episode. In this single player world, we have made some of my favorite builds I've truly ever made in this game. We have made this cool looking dock area, and in between episodes, I may have been expanding a little bit. I also built one of my all-time favorite builds with this bee farm. I also made this wood mill that was super cool. It took me forever. And there's so much tough that it started driving me crazy. I even made a little cliff area over here just so my donkey has something nice to look at. Do you know how crazy that makes me feel? And in between episodes, I made this cool like crane design after I built this giant iron farm that won't oxidize because the copper takes so long, and this pond and all these trees. And this world is starting to make me feel crazy. But it's like a good kind of crazy, you know? I've even been building inside this iron farm to try to get these floors figured out and some of the detail work. But this build isn't done yet, so you don't get to look yet. But I promise it's pretty cool. I do have to show you guys really quick. But we do have a bit of automation down here with some fancy redstone. Yeah, fancy redstone with some auto crafters. Let's go. It's all hooked up to a storage system that all links up here at the top with these cool copper pipes through the floor. And we've been getting some iron, and we should see some iron blocks coming in right now. So this iron farm is working as intended, and I'm super happy with this entire starter area that we've been working on. But the thing is, what has stopped me in between episodes is these paths. I'm trying to have them vary a bit in between builds. So this was one of the first ones I did, so it has a lot more wood, it has a lot more rooted dirt, and it's lacking on this packed mud. So that's our first objective for today. So the main focus of this episode is to make sure that we're not forgetting anything. A lot of these smaller projects just take time, like all of this copper to oxidize and doing a lot of paths that I don't know would be super fun to watch. But there's one more place that I have to show you before we get cooking on today's episode. The last part that I've been working on is doing some detail work around this bee farm that we built a couple episodes ago. We built a small wall that I'm eventually working on this inside portion. I also didn't know how to make a like clothing line, kind of like drying clothing line. So I feel like this works with some banners and some carpet. But so far, I love this area. It's a little flat, so we're working on just detailing with some bushes around. But for the real work that I've been putting in is in here. So if we go up top, I decided to do a little bit of decorating. Just a small little interior with some beds if I need to sleep. And kind of like a studio little apartment. We have like a beekeeper suit. We have a small desk. Came out cool. Just for how small the area is, I'm really happy with it. If we head all the way to the basement, this area is still a little bare, but I think that's okay. Now we have automated honey blocks and honeycomb. All these glass bottles get sorted out. Over here is our wheat farm from up top as well, just going through some hoppers. Now we have an input for glass bottles. I didn't really feel like automating this because I'm not going to be using that much honey. But as the honey bottles come through, they get auto crafted down here. Once we get 4, they get spit out and sent up the dropper elevator. So this episode is really all about trying to make sure that I'm all caught up So when we start doing these huge projects, I don't feel like I'm only halfway finishing some builds. And the last build we have behind us today is this wood mill. I won't be able to work on this larger section in here, the top storage, because I'm gonna need shulker boxes for that. But this big tower, we're going to make this functional today. Before we can do that, we're going to have to focus our area down to this dock that I've been slowly knocking out throughout the past couple of days, just doing some texturing to bring this overall area to really feel cohesive. So now you guys are all caught up. So now it's time to sit back while we knock out some redstone. Let's do it. Well, this is cool to see our kind of entire area that we've expanded to so far. This kind of shows you guys a little bit around the area. I'm standing on top of a redstone pillar that I'm about to mine. But this is cool to see. This is a mod called Distant Horizons. What Distant Horizons does is renders the general shapes of everything around, but you can actually see, if I super zoom in here, it's not actually rendering anything in, but it's just giving you kind of rough shapes. Like if I zoom way in, not try to move too much, it's not actually rendering anything in, but it's giving you like kind of like a rough estimate, which is cool. So I figured I'd show this off at the nighttime, show you guys what we got around. This area is looking really cool from up here. Time to mine some redstone. We are currently doing a redstone project that we might run out of all of this redstone. Let's see. We're going to need, oh yeah, we're gonna have to mine this quartz. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to go to the Nether for more quartz. For you guys, it has been seconds. For me, it has been hours upon hours of just doing random detailing. But let me show you what I got so far. Down here, I've been a little bit busy, started to dig out some areas. I'll show you guys that in a second. We have made just a small little improvement down here. We're just adding a little staircase upward. I feel like it frames this waterfall pretty nice, and having these stairs go upward, I think it just makes sense from one, an accessibility standpoint, but two, I think it looks pretty good so far. Having these cliffs kind of overhang this is a little weird, but I do enjoy it. Gets us right up into kind of the mix of all these buildings. And if we head back down, I'll show you guys. We now have our mud converter. I just grab this shovel here, and if I just reach into this and grab a stack, and I just stand here. Hold, which, this one, okay. That is not existent anymore. This is able to get us some mud, which is really great. Let me just throw this back in there. This will spit out stacks of dirt for us and go in the back here. This is Il Mango's design, so it's pretty simple, but it is genius, just like they are at Redstone. But this has a bunch of glass bottles that start to spit out, and it just recycles, which is super nice. So I've been crafting some packed mud and using it for some details in here. We got some looms in the ceiling. We have just some mud details. And I didn't really want to, you know, dig out a huge cavern for this. This is just something that when I need some mud, it's here, which is great. Keep our shovel in there. And I think the overall build came out really cool, as it kind of just makes sense to have some like shops and details down here. It'd be nice. So moving forward, I have started to dig out a small area in here where we're going to put our next farm. And I've been digging and digging, and this is where our next farm is going to go. I won't bore you guys with all the redstone and placing of all this, but I had to really dig this out to make sure that we had enough room for what we plan on doing in here. Down on the stock, we have a bunch of more detailing to do, but I do like these kind of like boulders that they've kind of built these docks around, or maybe this was something that crumbled. But I think it's great, and we really hide a bunch of lighting. Like there's some lighting behind this, there's lighting in the walls. So if I toggle this light overlay, this kind of shows us, like if I hit this, all these red spots are where mobs can spawn. And so for now, I've been just trying to hide as much lighting as possible to make sure that nothing can really spawn over all these builds. This was a great break in just a place where I could just turn my brain off and keep digging. This probably took me about an hour to dig out, but I think we need to install our next farm, as this episode is going to be pretty packed. We have a couple more planned, and this is just the start. Out here, the structure is great. I think I really love just kind of the tie-in of a lot of these details and playing with the lighter colored blocks and details like the pots down here. And overall, something is sticking out to me in this, on this dock, of I think it needs a lot more details, and I think we need to finish this interior. So let's do that. I think if I just move back and forth, I can have something up here. Like 1, 2, and 3. And just like that, we did a little interior. This has been pretty cool to make. I've also been working on this kind of dock, the floor of the port. Been adding some details around here, making some fine adjustments to kind of what we got going on here. I kind of picture this as like a storehouse where they're, you know, storing pots and things. And as you can hear underneath, we've been doing some automation. So what this does is it brings up the kelp that I will show you guys here in a minute, puts it into this system, cooks the kelp, sends it out through here into this. And if we get 1, it goes up, it'll refuel this, and then once it, let me see if I can show you guys. Maybe it will go into the, it'll go into this chest here. I actually have to flip that around, but that's fine. I can do that. But down here, we have been a little bit busy with a big kelp farm. So what happens is they grow up, they get pushed off, just like that. And then all that kelp will cycle up this water elevator and go into the system. So it's been absolutely great. Not something that I'll have to expand for a long time. However, I might have to expand the kelp farm underneath, but that's a later project, as this can also act as an XP bank. So if I just put a lever on this, close it, and take something out, it'll give me all the XP from cooking it. So I'm really happy with this. In here, we use some like acacia for some detailing of like, maybe this is like a pot getting, you know, maybe it's some clay or something like that. But I really love how this small little warehouse turned out. I have a couple more projects before I start to finish up this video. And the last one requires some automation of some bamboo. Because that big clump of bamboo, I'm tired of looking at. And so we definitely need a place for that. And why not? The perfect place is this wood mill. I would like to dig out kind of an area underground, making a pretty decent sized bamboo farm. And then maybe we have some like, I'm kind of thinking of some copper pipes or something kind of like this, which that is done. So that is a project for this video as well. But having maybe a copper pipe running up the side, showing that there has been some, whether it's, you know, industrial add-ons to this old building, and having maybe a copper pipe leading around just for a storage system in this area. For this bamboo farm is the last major project of this episode. Let's knock this thing out. And just like that, all the redstone of this episode is complete. I have been grinding nonstop for a while, just mining a bunch, lighting up caves, going to hunt slimes. And this has been a grind of an episode. So let me show you guys all we've done, just to recap for you guys. As you can hear, we have a bunch of redstone built into this area, and I love the way that this little dock area has come out so far. We've just added a couple little details, and I'll keep adding them as I go. But we have our kelp farm that's fully auto-crafted and fully recycling, so it'll fill all these with fuel, and then give me a little bit of leftovers. And that's a really good XP bank if I ever need it. I'll consider this little mud converter a farm too. That's El Mango's design. That is super clutch to have all of these farms at our fingertips around this area. We have done the auto crafting for the bee farm and the iron farm, which is incredible as well. And last but not least, this farm is finished. So let me show you guys around. This is a little tight in here as I made this only 3x3 in the center bit. But if you go up top, we have kind of like a little attic space here. And we have a nice vantage point of the entire area. I know some of it's looking pretty plain, but as we keep building, this will be a great spot to view the rest of the base around us. Heading into the basement, heading down this super tight staircase, we have been busy creating a monstrosity. So this was a very important project, as I didn't want to be burning through a bunch of spruce, but as you can kind of see in here, this was my first time making a flying machine bamboo farm. So let me show you how it works. we have a daylight sensor that every time it turns night, this signal will shut off and it will go into here. This is holding this flying machine in place. So if I just make that signal shut off, it will chop down all the bamboo in here and put it on this mud block, or on these mud blocks. These hopper mine carts are constantly running. We'll collect these and go down into this little collection area. I know it's a little bit loud. And then it'll go into an auto crafting setup, which will go up into our wood mill. This was fairly easy to build. I always thought flying machines were more complex, but I think this came out pretty good. Up top, this comes in up here and has been pretty busy crafting all this bamboo. If we head out the back, this is not the best looking thing I've ever made, but I definitely need this to start to oxidize because I really want this to be that like green, it's like the third stage or something like that. So once this oxidizes, of course this won't oxidize in this episode because it takes forever, but I kind of want to start adding some details that are almost like after the fact of this building being made, because we're already kind of getting mechanical with some cranes and things. So I figure, hey, why not? Let's add some machinery and copper, like tubing out the back. So there you have it, friends. We have been grinding, putting in auto crafting all over our base, and this is a feature that is so clutch. As we keep building these farms, and we don't have to like do any work for them, which is great. I know it's a little bit to set up, but just having all this stuff at our fingertips really makes these big projects so much easier. I appreciate everyone hanging out, taking the time to watch these videos as I've been pouring some heart and soul into them. And I can't wait to jump back in for the next episode. I got some grinding to do, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you later. Peace.